Welcome to the Voiceover Round Table. I'm Em O'Neill.
And I'm Mike Tobin. Every week, we get together to talk about all things voiceover with a special focus on community.
Bringing you in-depth interviews, roundtable discussions, special performance events, and industry-leading guests.
Let's get started. This is the Voiceover Round Table. Let's get started, everyone. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Voiceover Roundtable weekly Clubhouse event, where we bring you special guests and events, great discussion about all things voiceover with a special focus on community. And we thank you all so much for making some time to join us this evening. My name is Mike Tobin. I'm a bilingual English and French voice actor based in Ottawa, Canada. And please welcome also my terrific co-host, multi-award winning voice actor, Emma O'Neill.
Hello.
And also joining us, she is an award-winning voice actor, singer, as well as the host of the Audio Branding Podcast, which will be dropping episode number 156, if I saw that correctly, tomorrow.
Yes, you did.
Wow.
Please welcome longtime supporter and collaborator of the Voiceover Roundtable, Jodi Krangle.
Good evening.
What's up, Jodi? Hey, you know what? While I'm mentioning awards, this week has kind of lit up on social media, if anybody noticed.
Yeah.
And I would be foolish and forgetful not to mention and say that I definitely want to congratulate both of my co-hosts this evening for having been nominated for SOVAS Awards once again, because these are not your first nominations for both of you. So congratulations to you both. And I haven't seen everybody in the room, but there's a chance at some point there may be other nominees hanging out with us in the room. So if you were nominated for a SOVAS Award this week, congratulations to you and wishing you the best of luck in December when the awards happen. It's exciting, ladies. Hey?
It is.
It is.
Yeah, it always is. It's always a really fun event to participate in.
Yeah. And let's be honest, like SOVAS people are like, Rudy and Joan, there's some fine people.
They are.
They're
pretty
lovely.
awesome.
They're all crew. They really, yeah. It's an awesome organization anyways. So congratulations to you both. I want to get diving in pretty quick, but I had to mention last week was our, what shall we call it? Our Phoenix episode, our rebirth from the ashes of the Voiceover Roundtable. Yeah. And it was so awesome. If you were with us last week, thank you so much for joining us. We had a great full room, lots of fantastic conversation. And we had a great night with VO North co-founder Tanya Buchanan. And in fact, it's kind of a good segue because one of the panels that Tanya and Dervla put together at VO North back in September was about tonight's topic, and that's accountability groups. Mm-hmm. So tonight, we're actually all together, all of us, going to kind of act as one big accountability group, maybe introduce you to the concept if you're, if it's something new to you, or if it isn't something new, maybe, the template that we're kind of working off of tonight might be interesting, might help get things, spice things up and get things flowing in your accountability group if you have one. Panel.
Yes.
Ladies. What's going on? Let's talk basics. Accountability group. What is it? Tell our people what it is.
Well, first of all, I feel like the way that I see the screen right now, Mike is on my left and Jodi's on my right, which is kind of funny because I'm in separate accountability groups with both of them. I'm like, Mikey in the middle, yay!
Who was on the left and who was on the right?
You currently are on my left and Jodi is on my right on my screen,
yes.
The way that I can see things.
And so, as the song would say, clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right.
Yeah.
Stuck in the middle. All right.
Pretty much, yeah. And what is an accountability group? Accountability groups are groupings of folks that hold you accountable to what it is that you're trying to accomplish, and specific to what at least what we do with voiceover. We focus on what are your goals, what are you trying to accomplish in this quarter, in this year, and then what do you need help with, and we help each other in all ways to keep each other accountable. And it's helpful that when you come back, however many times you meet, we usually meet once a month, and you revisit what you had stated your goal was for the month before, or goals were for the month before, and did you accomplish that? And if you haven't, what is stopping you? What's getting in your way? How can we help you? It's all about helping each other get better, helping each other advance.
Jodi, why do you think they work? Like, because this is not necessarily a new thing, but it's becoming more and more popular, I would say, in our industry. Obviously, with the help of panels like we had at VO North. But why do you think they work? Why do you think they're getting more and more popular? Like, what's in this?
Well, I think that it gives people a safe space to sort of talk out their issues. And I think that's good for all of us, especially when we spend the majority of our day in a small padded room talking to ourselves. So, I think it's very useful to sound out the problems that you're going through and see if they're really as big problems as you think they are.
Absolutely.
Or if other people can help you solve them, because you never know who might have the answer to your problem.
Very well said. Tonight, what we're going to do, we're going to kind of break this up into a few different sections. And later on, we're going to talk about kind of some do's and don'ts so that you can get the best out of accountability group and voiceover. But first, I want to introduce this kind of format that some of us, not everyone, every accountability group is different. But this format that some of us have been using has been working really well. I know that I really like it a lot. And it's what we're going to use tonight to get the interaction from you folks in the room. And basically, the format is bring one win. That's one win, one challenge, and one goal.
Well,
we do have a limited amount of time. Voiceover Round Table, we're going to try to stick to an hour, maybe push a little bit past if we have to, but we want to try and be concise. And that's one of the goals of an accountability group too. Is we're all really busy, so we got to be concise. So that'll be also in our talk later on. But that's the format: one win, one challenge, one goal. But before we bring people up with that, I kind of, I think hand raising should be turned on by default. And what I'm going to look for the first, I see a raised hand, so it does work. Alyssa, thank you for helping me with that. I want to hear from somebody who might have recently started an accountability group or recently joined an accountability group. Alyssa, is that you? If I call you up, is that going to be...
We're not going to know unless we call
it out. Yes, no. All right, Jennifer. Let's invite Jennifer up on the stage. Jennifer had a chance to hear the ask, so to speak. Is my invite up on stage working?
I've tried as well, so hopefully it'll work.
Yay! We got Jennifer.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Well, how are you?
How are you?
Good.
Welcome.
So thank you. Thank you. I was excited to see that you guys were back, and I'm glad to be here. So I was at One Voice, actually, in Dallas, because Canada's a little far for me. But I was in Dallas, and I sat in on a panel about accountability groups, and I actually ended up coming out of Dallas with an accountability group, and we try to meet once a week. It doesn't always happen because, kids and life and things kind of get in the way. But even if we don't meet every week, these ladies have become really good friends, and we talk almost every day. And it's been super helpful.
Yep.
What would you say the special sauce is, Jennifer?
We all just really clicked, and even though we're all in very different places in our careers, Alicia is only about 2 years into hers. Melanie and I are in about the same spot, but she took a break for a little while because she has a 2-year-old, and I've been doing this for 15 years. We still have a lot of ideas to share.
Yeah.
And they're just such great supports. I mean, I spent the first 15 years in this career kind of out there floundering on my own, and we all just bring such great ideas to the table and feed off that energy from each other, and it's really great.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Some of the best business coaches in the world and things like that, they'll often talk about a concept called modeling. And I think you get to do that on like a weekly basis or whatever the frequency of meeting with your accountability group is, that if you've got somebody who's doing something and it's a win for them and it can be applied to your business, well, you just got yourself a big fat shortcut, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, well, it's great to hear that things are going well, and congratulations on the success of not only you, of your accountability peers.
Thanks
for popping up, and we're glad to be back. Thank you for the support. We really appreciate it. It's good. It's really cool to be back. Up on stage, I also have Jim. Jim Cooper's up on stage.
Hello,
Thanks, Jen.
Jim.
Hey there, Jim.
How you doing?
Good. How are
Jodi,
you?
it's weird being in Clubhouse room and not hearing an intro.
Come to the room tomorrow. You will hear the intro.
The full EDM jam.
I have music now, too.
Oh, wow. So between that and the podcast intro that Cheryl's husband does, you just an intro.
Yeah. That's our Thursday room. They're so much fun. We feed off each other, kind of like we do in our accountability groups.
Right, exactly. I've been in an accountability group for, I think it's coming up close to a year, and I have to be honest because one of my group members, Therese, is in the audience as well, so I can't lie on this one. One of the things that we found works really well for us, and our format is kind of similar to what I've heard, is that we actually have our subgroup, because we have a big accountability group and we've got it divided into subgroups. And the whole group meets once a month, and then each of the subgroups separately meets once a month. And we've actually created a private little messenger group. And so people need to reach out like quickly. We can just like message, so it's like, hey, I'm really stuck with something. Can someone just jump on a quick call? And it's like the group like interacts almost constantly without having to set up a specific meeting. Not that we don't like our specific meeting, because we love it. But that I think has been a big win for us.
Yeah, absolutely. We the group that I'm in with Mike, we do that as well.
Yeah,
we talk every day. The five of us that are in that group are regularly in contact, whether it's a joke or it's something like, "Hey, quick rate question,"
right?
Or struggling with this, or I'm dealing with a client doing this. What would you do? So it's really helpful to have that you just reach out really quickly, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. And depending on how big this group is and how close you are, you become friends with people, and our business life doesn't happen in a bubble, right? It's not, it doesn't happen in isolation. And so sometimes real life comes into the mix. And, that's one of the things we'll talk about a little bit later is, depending on the group that you have, sometimes a little vulnerability can go a long way, and it really brings you closer together. But cool, Jim. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
Or hear you.
I actually have a challenge as well.
Ooh, cool.
Okay. So you know what? You can be our first person to come up with the format. So 1 win, 1 challenge, and 1 goal. And before you dive into your stuff, the one thing that I wanted to share out, and Emma's going to talk more on socials and stuff like that later on, but we're going to be creating a post probably tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Probably LinkedIn, you think, Emma?
Probably.
Yeah, let's do, I think we're going to do LinkedIn. And basically it's going to be kind of the catch-all place for you to follow up and give feedback on how you've done or are doing towards the goal that you're going to talk about tonight. So we want that ongoing interaction. So Jim, here we go. You go first. 1 win, 1 challenge, and 1 goal.
is the win an accountability group win or a personal win?
We're going to try and talk about within your voiceover business. Now, for everybody else listening, remember, a win doesn't need to be something epic. Like, the ladies can say, oh, well, like I got nominated for a Sovas Award. That's a nice win. But, if you're just starting out in voiceover, maybe a win is you got shortlisted for something really exciting this week or, something similar. So, it doesn't need to be complicated.
Okay, cool. Well, the win is that I just finished narrating and producing my 35th audiobook.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah. I don't know how that happened.
You're a marathon runner. That's amazing.
Holy moly. How do you have the stamina?
Seriously.
It's just like they show up, and I was like, fun. I enjoy doing them when I'm actually in the booth. And I know a lot of people, and Jodi, you in particular, because we've had this conversation, just have no desire whatsoever.
None.
Absolutely none.
Oh, I am on page with the ladies. No me gusta el long formo.
I'm done. I'm just done.
Yeah.
So that's a win. A challenge. We had a long discussion about pay-to-plays in our accountability group today, but which is always a challenge. But the one challenge that I have is that in our group, sometimes we get hung up on semantics, where for what we have listed are they goals or are they tasks, and how far granular should our lists go? I don't know what everyone else does.
Well, goals can be big or small, and it just like the wins, and that's the fun about these things, is that you get to decide. And I would say that I agree with you. Sometimes stuff can be very granular because, listen, it's we don't get to decide. We don't and that's the word. We don't get to decide which jobs we get. We get to decide which jobs we go after, what we audition for, how many marketing emails we send in a week, how many times we spend time updating our website. So those are the things that we can control. We can control the tasks, the actions, and things like that, right? Those are the granular things that you're talking about, Jim. But we can't control what job we land. We can cross our fingers and hope, but hope doesn't pay the bills. So it's the granular tasks and the putting one foot in front of the other and doing, Mark Scott always says, do the thing. That's totally a thing. And so, I have no problem with granular goals. If I come to my accountability group and say, I'm going to do, 20 auditions in the next 4 days on, pay to plays or whatever, that's fine. That's a goal. Right. What do you think?
If I may, for me, I see goals kind of like as there's different levels of them, and it could be something like, for this quarter, a goal that I have is to increase my video content on TikTok. I'm going to post a video every day around the same time doing this thing. So that keeps me accountable to using my time wisely. Then I also have the big goals, the dream board, stuff like that of I'm going to be signed to this agency by this time on this date. I'm going to be, which obviously you can't predict, but they're the goals that you put out there to the universe that this is how you want things to go. For me, to share one of my goals for 2022 was to increase my US bookings. So I made a real effort in paying more attention to the difference between reads in the US market and reads in the Canadian market, because they are massively different. The reads are very, very different for commercial and for TV narration, right? They're night and day. There's an invisible line that is the border, and yet what the ask from the clients is very, very different. So I started paying a lot of attention to that and increased my US bookings. So that was a goal that was accomplished and continues to be to be furthered as I go.
That's what it's all about.
It's a boat.
A boat.
Yeah.
Half my accountability group is in Canada, so we have many of those, and we give them lots of grief.
Cool, Jim. So what's a goal?
A goal is by the end of this year, finishing the recording of and the setup for a resurgence of my video podcast, The Hydrant, which is targeted for January 2023.
Yay!
Yeah.
Nice.
Great goal to have.
It'll be good to see that coming back.
Make it happen.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I'm glad you had some time away so that you could appreciate it, you know?
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. I was just kind of burnt out, and slowly I've become more appreciative of it, and I'm widening the scope where I'm going to focus on people that are absolutely passionate about what they do, regardless of industry.
Nice. I like that. That's a great idea.
Yeah. That is a very cool idea. Congrats.
Thanks.
Creating content on a consistent basis or putting on shows or podcasts or things like that, it takes a lot of dedication. So I definitely tip my hat to you, to Jodi. And we, here we are back on Clubhouse. Yes. Here we are. And Emma and I have talked about this. And, I thought this thing was dead in the water, and I was kind of resigned to, and then here we go to VO North and people asking us, hey, you guys should do that Clubhouse thing again. I'm like, what?
I never stopped.
Oh, maybe. Hey, you guys should do that club. I know.
I've been on this thing since January, and I never stopped. I'm still doing it. Yeah.
No.
Well, if you get into a lull, just give it to Emma. She's the Energizer bunny.
Well, Jim, we're going to look forward to you accomplishing that goal, because I know that you will.
We'll report
and we'll very much look forward to seeing that. Looking for some more hands from the room. And what was I going to... So we're looking for one win, one challenge, one goal. We need some hands up from the room, please. Come on, people.
And one of the things I forgot to mention last week was something that I was always responsible for in the last round of Clubhouse, was reminding each other and reminding people in the audience to follow each other. So follow each other here, follow each other on the different socials, because especially if you're newer on Clubhouse, make sure you build your profile so that you have the links to your Instagram, to your website, things like that, so that people can find you. And the more, we interact with each other, and the more we kind of boost each other up, the better. So, and you get to learn about each other and get to know people.
Yes. And
we have a couple of takers here.
There we go. And I was just, before we go to Chris and Carlos, never underestimate the power and reach of not just Clubhouse, but any platform, because things will find you in the strangest ways. And I think back to the first time I got on Clubhouse just as a listener in a room. A connection that I made turned into an audition, turned into a $5,000 job. The first time I logged on to Clubhouse. Has it happened since? No, but I'm just saying, to Emma's point, make sure your profiles are up to date with your socials, how people can reach you, how people can connect with you. It's great. Yes, we're talking accountability groups, so maybe some of your peers, that's fantastic, but you never know where something's going to, materialize from. Emma, I'll hand it over to you.
I was just going to add to that before we bring Chris up onto the stage, which I'm very excited that you are here, was just never underestimate the power of connecting with voice actors. The number of jobs I get from other voice actors is pretty bananas. So because not one of us is the same. Not one of us provides the same service, sound, or experience. So people always talk about like, oh, why are you connecting with so many voice actors? It's like, because they're my people and we help each other, because this is the best community in the world.
Truth.
So yeah, connect with each other. Chris, I would love to hear what you have to say.
Welcome, Chris.
Hey, thank you for having me up here. And
Hello.
yeah, hi. I really should be in bed by now because it's about 1 a.m. here in
Yeah.
England. So I'm going to sleep after this. But yeah, I'd like to share that I'm still, I'd say, at the beginning of my journey, even though I do have like a professional studio set up and everything. I did kind of wish that I learned at the start of my journey that I really need to try and get a commercial demo like out the gates, because my niche is animation, and I have a really strong animation demo.
Mhm.
And but I found myself currently working on my commercial demo because I don't want to continue to reach out to agencies when I don't have that. People need to hear
Yeah.
me,
Yeah. Yeah.
properly. Yeah, and obviously we know like how much these demos cost, no matter what production company we go to, and there are lots of people saying get them professionally done and everything. But again, over time through my journey so far, I've learned the power of networking, and I have made friends with a really good British voice actor, who has done so much in commercials and things like that. He's been doing this for years, and he's actually started directing me in commercial reads. I've gathered samples, reworded things here and there, and so he's getting like really strong reads from me now, and so. I'm guessing I'm having those recorded. We're about the halfway point, I'd say, and going to have another session. But I also do have another friend who has actually gotten into producing demos as well. She even produced her own demo, which is actually doing really well with agencies. And so she has even offered to help me with mine, which is great.
Cool.
And yeah, but to get to the point, though, I'd say that well, one of my wins was it doesn't feel like it was too long ago. Actually, I did have my first paid gig.
Yay!
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. That felt
That's a
very
win.
good.
It's definitely a win.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
Total
fantastic.
win. Yeah, total win. It felt really, really good. It was through Facebook. I did the whole question thing. What's the budget? And
Good.
yeah, exactly. She did give me like this very low amount, this price anyway, and so I went through the path of basically saying after I looked it up and on the word counts and everything, it was like a narration for a video. I said that this is actually half of what I would make for something like this. But if you do want to stay to that budget, I would recommend a less experienced voice actor. I'd say something.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, yeah, because at times I have actually turned down things because I knew, well, I learned not to undersell myself out the gate,
Oh, good.
and so yeah, exactly. So she basically said, "Well, if it was this amount that you said, would you still do it?" And I said, "Yeah, providing the word count doesn't increase past this amount." And yeah, so we found out that we were both legit, and it happened. I got a contract to her. She paid me before I sent her the video, the finished file, as
Nice.
well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done.
You're
Wow.
like, you ticked all the pro boxes there because, like, so much of what we do is not just about what happens in the booth. It's about those interactions that you're talking about, Chris, like, negotiating and knowing your worth and rates and stuff like that. And that's some of the stuff that would definitely fall in that challenge category for most people. So that's really cool. Well, your win, what's your challenge? Is it getting that demo together?
Yeah, that's the challenge at the moment, because obviously.
But is it a challenge or a goal? Because it sounds like you've got some people, some allies working with you now. So
Yeah, I think it's maybe a bit of a challenge to have it maybe done possibly by the end of the month, because even though I have these people to help, I mean, voice actors, just being themselves, I mean, schedules differ and everything. I mean, we were supposed to record yesterday, but he kind of had already forgotten that he had something scheduled in already. So we're trying to reschedule possibly for this week, but it may have to be next week. My friend who has offered to produce, she's actually she's from Miami anyway, but she's in Edinburgh right now, for work, and that's going to have to wait another week or so. So I guess in a way it is a bit of a challenge. Also, just trying to I guess stay consistent with my social media. That is always a challenge. Like I do post a lot on TikTok and Instagram, and yeah. But I think sorry.
No, I was just going to say, social music can be a challenge for all of us, but it sounds like you're on a good path, Chris, with the demo thing. The one thing I wanted to share, which might actually let you breathe a little bit more with your demo thing, especially if you're making this commercial demo with the mind of getting it in front of potential agencies. One of the things that in some of my accountability groups, the topic that has come up is this time of year for agents and for casting directors and everything like that is an absolute gong show. And so if you're sending in, and this goes anybody in the room, if you're sending in submissions to agents looking to get on agency rosters and stuff like that, and you're not getting a response right now, that's why. They are swamped, and it's very possible that this is just a time of the year where they're focusing on their existing roster, on getting the business done and things like that. So, Chris, to your point, what I'm trying to say is maybe you got a little bit more time. You can give yourself a little bit more time and a little bit more room to breathe to get it right, because even if you finished in the coming weeks or the coming months, we're almost into December, the holidays and things like that. The timing might not be there anyways, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that absolutely does make sense. So if this is like one of those lull moments, I'd say, where definitely I can then afford to wait longer, because it'll be great to reach out more, be proactive in that, like maybe in January, or something.
Better time.
So it's a very good point. So thank you for that. But that's the goal.
Thanks for sharing, Chris, and good luck with the goal. And do keep an eye on our LinkedIn's, because you'll be able to follow up and drop some progress reports in there. We're going to move on to Carlos.
Hello,
Welcome,
guys.
Carlos.
Hey, Carlos. Win, a challenge, and a goal.
Yeah,
Let's
I know.
do it.
And a weather report. How are you doing in Florida? You okay?
Your room. Because I originally, I know that you are based in Canada, correct?
Yes.
And I'm a VO, particularly for the Hispanic market in the U.S., and have been since 1990 something, 17 years in LA, and now about 20 years in Florida. 1992 I joined SAG-AFTRA, and it has been a wonderful journey, I have to say, and I'm very grateful to the universe and everything, because I have been involved in many advertising campaigns and all of that. Yeah. So and sometimes also in the general market as well, and particularly now when they actually appreciate a little bit of a Hispanic accent or any kind of, I would say, less polished and perfect English, and all the natural seasoning that comes when you are from Colombia into an English read, then that is appreciated now. So, Win. Lately, I've been blessed being the voice of the brand for the Lincoln Car company for about 77 years in the Hispanic market. And the win is that I I think I recorded the very best brand campaign, because the Hispanic market brand campaigns are not that oftenly done, because they actually take advantage of you doing combination brand and at the end an offer. So versus in the general market, they do more brand spots and all. But these spots were a series of 3 spots that are very iconic for the brand. And it's a little bit of a comeback because they suffered a little bit because of the chips problem and all. So the accomplishment was, I believe these are 3 of the best reads I have done. And what I love is that they are where I like to be, which is storytelling and narration. It's not a hard sale or anything like that. And the brand is always like that. Then challenge.
That's awesome.
For that project,
all right, challenge. Here it is.
We connected via Source Connect, and it was during the hurricane a month ago.
Oh, wow.
No.
Florida. And guess what? My Source Connect was correct. My upload speed was great. We did a test before the agency connected. And then when the studio connected, the agency via Zoom, and there were several parties from everywhere, somehow the signal started to drop. I was still recording locally and all, but of course for the creatives, and this is something for everybody to know, that when the creatives feel uncomfortable, you have to make everything possible for them to go back to the comfort factor.
Yes.
So the studio said, we don't know if it is us or you, and I checked my speed during the session, but is it possible that you can come to the studio? And the producer of the agency said that, and I said, yeah, of course. Of course, it was raining outside and wind and all of those things. So, but we didn't get a direct hit like the West Coast of Florida did get, but we get the right now one is coming, and tomorrow night we will have a Cat 1 pass by, but a Cat 1 doesn't scare us anymore. Mm-hmm. So I got in the car to make this story short. The challenge was, got in the car, got in the studio. It was raining like crazy in the studio. We all got in, they set up and all, and we did. The win was that we did record the spots, and they came out super good. And the frustration is that I cannot share them yet because
they're not out yet.
They're not allowed.
They were out one air date, but I guess they're saving them. And I would say that after the whole political thing, which is like a hostile takeover of your airwaves and your nerve systems, which I'm glad that it ends today, and it ended last night. So that is the frustration. Goal. I want more brand voices gigs. I want them all. So,
I don't know if anybody else is thinking the same thing, but I'm like, I could probably listen to Carlos for like a long time.
Seriously.
You got such a cool voice, man. Yeah. You got such a cool voice. And I no doubt, like if you set that goal and you know what you're doing and you know what you're talking about, reverse engineering that, it's about being in the right place at the right time and having the right connections and your visibility and having your strong demos and all that stuff, which is, all the regular pieces, but you've put it out to the universe. Make it happen.
You have a strong audio brand. I happen to have a whole podcast about that.
Yep.
It's great that you mentioned the whole thing of the universe, because the other day it was in another room when how people do I would say combat their fears and their uncertainties and everything, and particularly after what I love of 2020, and unfortunately, and God bless all the people that passed away, but guess what? That is what made us all of a sudden come really together. And it wasn't we're all in this together line. No, it actually put us together. Little by little, I remember at the beginning, we all saw each other like competition. Oh, who the hell got that gig? Oh, it was XYZ. damn, how can that happen? Now we actually celebrate all of our wins, and I'm so glad. And it's like you can probably detect it in my voice, in the excitement, is that we are here, and that we get into these rooms and we talk and we share and all. When before, yes, your colleagues and everything. When I used to live in LA, we met at the studios and everything, and I was also an agency producer and creative at the time. So we were friends, and they were friends of mine because they knew that I would hire them also. So it was like one of those relationships that it wasn't true friendship and all as it is now. And I still work also as a freelance creative and everything. And I have had the pleasure of being able to hire people from our community and everything. And it's like, oh, I know the voice for this project. And all of a sudden you recommend it to my producer. It's like, oh, you got to contact this, and this, and do the casting with these 4 or 5 people. Let the client hear them and all. But that is the beauty. And now I'm going back just to close the whole thing, because I've talked too much already, is yes, connect with your fellow voiceovers. You are so very right. Because guess what? Most of them don't do this for 24 hours a day. They have other things. They work maybe in agencies and creatives and all kinds of stuff and everything, and they can open doors. They know people. They may actually have projects for you to voice. So connect. And what is my favorite place to do so? LinkedIn. The other ones are exposure. LinkedIn are true connections, and it is the professional environment actually to establish a working relationship outside of a friendship relationship. And that's it. And I'm out. And I
mic drop.
And did you notice that I said out? And
Yes.
And
well done.
And
I'm out.
And thank you very much for having me, and thank you very much for organizing these rooms.
Carlos, thanks for coming up and sharing all that, and good luck with your goals. I'm sure you're going to do just fine. Before we move to Jennifer with a win challenge goal sequence, I kind of want to just throw this to Emma and Jodi. At the top, talked about what. Actually, before we go there, if you joined us kind of partway in, you're in the Voiceover Round Table. We meet here every week, Tuesday evening, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, talk about all things voiceover with a special focus on community. And we're talking about accountability groups tonight, and we've been working this format of give us one win, one challenge, one goal. But I want to go back. We talked about, what a group is, why we get benefits from it and stuff like that. Jodi and Emma, let's talk about some of the sort of do's and don'ts of accountability groups, because it takes work to make them work, and there are things that make them successful, and there are things that make them more challenging than they need to be. So, your thoughts,
Jodi? What do you think?
One of the most important is that they actually show up.
Like yesterday.
Ding, ding, ding.
Where was that?
Yeah. It's sometimes it doesn't work out. And I mean, we're all busy. I know that sometimes means that you have a session when you would normally have your accountability group. But at the same time, your accountability group is set at a certain time, and you can say that you are busy for an hour. Mm-hmm. You can, whatever you're going to plan. I mean, unless it is like completely necessary that the only time that client can work with you is that moment. And I'm sure people will forgive you, but it has to be a priority. Yeah. If it's not in your schedule, if you haven't put it there and you schedule things around it instead of always putting things on top of it, then you're not really going to get the benefits of your accountability group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it becomes like a key part of your schedule. If you were in some type of corporate business or something like that, and you were responsible for delivering on certain results, there's a chance that you would have a weekly meeting with your team or something like that. So it's no different. I agree with you, Jodi. You got to show up. You got to make it part of your schedule, and schedule stuff around it where possible.
And one thing I'd also like to mention is that no one needs to know what that hour is set aside for. Like, you don't tell people you have a dentist appointment. Right? Yep. Like, not usually. I mean, sometimes your clients are friendly enough and you know them well enough that you can say that you have a dentist appointment.
Oh, yeah.
But in general, you don't really tell people what you're doing in the times that you have that blocked off. For them, it could be another session, which is totally legit. So set that time aside. Make it something that you actually agree to do, even if it's just with yourself. It's part of your schedule, and do it.
Yeah.
100%. Another thing.
Emma, what about you?
Treat an accountability group, the content of the accountability group and what is discussed as like it's an NDA. It's not to be discussed outside of your group. It's like what Jodi was saying earlier. It's a place where you are able to feel safe. You're able to be vulnerable, because it's not always going to be that you're coming to your group going, yeah, I booked this amazing job and I don't need help with anything. It's all awesome. There's days where I have literally shown up with a box of Kleenex and just sat and cried on the screen because like, it's all crap and I don't know what I'm doing. And you want to be able to feel safe enough to do that, but you also want to know that at the end of that meeting, people aren't going to run off and be like, oh my God, so Emma is total, like she's a scam. She's a total scam because she's crap. Keep what's discussed in the accountability group as private. Because it's not private your business
and confidential. Yes.
Yep.
Agree 100%.
Well, people aren't going to share unless they know that it's not going to be shared outside, But these are, you have people in this group for a reason. You trust them, right?
Yeah. I mean, that whole dynamic of being able to get the support that you need from your peers by showing that vulnerability, but it also is about showing that, the trust and being trustworthy. So it's like it comes at all sides. So yeah, it needs to be a safe place, and you need to be able to be vulnerable and support someone being vulnerable for sure. I was going to say, I was thinking back to what Jennifer was saying earlier about her group, is that not every accountability group is going to have people at the same level in their careers, and that's not a bad thing. Like, you can have relative newcomers and you can have seasoned pros, and if it clicks together, it clicks together, and that's completely fine, because you know what, an extra set of eyes, an extra set of ears, somebody who's fresh to the game might see something with less jaded eyes than you might if you've been in it for a long time. So that has value too. The one thing that I was going to caution, for more newcomers who are getting into accountability groups, and this plays into the whole trust and everything like that, is that accountability groups are not for coaching. It's not to learn skills from your more experienced peers. They're going to share stuff with you, of course, but you should not go into that thinking that, oh, this is going to be a weekly coaching session for me kind of thing. You need to bring something too. Otherwise, the dynamic's not going to work.
Yeah, that's right? A workout group. It's not an accountability group.
Yeah, different. Exactly. It's a different animal.
Yep.
Cool.
It's nice to have people at different levels as well, because even if you are more experienced than one person, like you said, you can still see different things through their eyes. Mm-hmm. And by mentioning stuff, like you learn things by helping. So I think that's a good thing to live by in a group.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree.
Absolutely. We're going to go back to our win, challenge, goal format. And we now have Jennifer up on the stage. Welcome, Jennifer.
Hey, Jennifer.
And if your mic doesn't turn on, you just leave the room real quick and come back in. Sometimes it's a glitch in Clubhouse. So if you're
She took your advice.
That was quick. She could hear you.
Yeah.
So we'll hop over to my buddy Richard Fortin in the house.
Hello.
Bonsoir, Richard. Bienvenue.
Oh, thank you to all of you.
Hello.
So what's going on? How about win, challenge, goal? What?
Oh my God, it's a hard question. I listen to everybody, and it's so hard to have that three things in the voiceover career because they add a lot of stuff around that. But I can find maybe some wins, like to be the voice of Walt Disney World Park on the TV ad. I think it's a really good win.
Congratulations!
It's a win.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
And it's a big check mark on my bucket list. So maybe be a voice trailer here in Quebec in the French market, because I don't think you hear that, but I'm French, so sorry for that.
Never would have
we
known.
missed that.
Never would have.
Totally.
Didn't catch that at all.
So that's a big win for me, because I work on the radio world here in Quebec, and in the radio it's hard to be je cherche le mot en français.
Vas-y, je vais traduire.
Mike, si jamais tu peux m'aider. Le mot être vrai dans les voix. Je sais pas si tu comprends ce que je veux dire. Because in radio world we have a lot of stereotypes
Yes.
in the voiceover, so it's hard to be real in the voice market.
If you put the word vrai into the translator, chances are one of the things that would come out would be real.
Yeah.
But I think the word that you're looking for, and it's not just in French, Richard, it's authentic.
Yeah.
And more we're seeing that voiceover jobs, not just in commercial, but even in e-learning, even in corporate, they are looking for authentic voices. And listen, the challenge that you face as a radio voice is not unique to Quebec or to being French. There are, I'm sure, I know English speakers across Canada, across the US. If you come from a radio background, it's almost like you have to unlearn that sound so that you can now sound more authentic. So, yeah, I hear you, man, for sure. C'est un challenge for sure.
Yeah. And a goal may be to find a great manager, because now I work alone. I work as with an agent in Toronto and Montreal, but to find someone who can take my hand to be better, to be in the good spot. I think it's a good goal for me. I don't. Yeah,
it's a great goal. That would be something that you could. There's many management companies and management firms out there, and all of them have slightly different approaches. So it's figuring out what approach works best for you, what type of energy works best for you, and then then making the connections from there. And again, like Carlos was saying, LinkedIn is one of the best platforms for connecting with industry folks.
Yeah, and also important to point out when this topic comes up, because often people will wonder, and it's not always very obvious especially to newer talent, the difference between an agent and a manager. And there's a huge difference. Emma, tell us what the difference between the two is again.
It depends on the management company.
Right.
An agent provides opportunities for jobs. They're kind of a go-between between a client and you, and they take a percentage of the jobs that are booked. Then there are management companies that take a percentage of your entire income, and they provide also audition opportunities, and they usually will have exposure to genres and clients that agencies don't necessarily have access to. Then there's management models that you pay a fee to be represented by them, they also have audition opportunities that they can send your way. But if you book that job, they only take a percentage of that job versus a percentage of your income. There's many different models. I don't think that it's kind of across the board, but I think those two particular models are the most common within the management framework.
Yeah, and I think that the big difference, like you just kind of pointed out, is an agent provides opportunities, but they are not necessarily there to hold your hand and guide your career and work with you beyond providing those opportunities. Whereas a management company is going to maybe look at your branding, maybe look at where you're doing your coaching and different things like that. So, different animal.
And they'll steer the jobs that you're particularly interested in your way. Like that, you still have to audition, but they have access to the things that you want to add to your career. So it's a little more guided. It's a little more
curated.
Curated. That's a good word. Yeah.
That's exactly what I search. So it's okay.
They're out there, and I think, based on what Emma's saying, is you need to find the one that makes sense for where you're at in your voiceover business right now. But it's definitely a good goal to have. It sounds like it might be a good fit for you. Yeah. So, we're going to keep an eye on that goal, and you'll be able to fill us in when we post that thread on LinkedIn, looking for updates on your goals. Merci, Richard, d'avoir été là. And, one of the things that came up, and I do want to, anybody, if there are any other Francophones in the room, it will be great at some point to have sort of a spin-off room kind of thing. So we're going to try and do something. Obviously, it won't take place on our regular Tuesday night slot, but I know that there are a lot of Francophone speakers who would love to get in a room and have a good VO chat. So it's something on va tenter d'organiser. Right, Richard?
Yeah, great. We'll be here.
Awesome, man. Thanks for being here tonight. We appreciate your support.
Hey, thanks to all
Jennifer.
of you guys.
Thank you.
Awesome. What's going on, Jennifer? Win, challenge, goal. And it doesn't need to be big, and it needs to be in the moment. So where you are in your career right now, what is a fresh win that you've experienced?
A fresh win for me.
Oh, you're
Jen,
really...
if you can turn up your mic.
Yeah.
You're really quiet.
Okay, hold on. I have my headset on. Hold on. Can you hear me better now?
No. I have what I suspect is maybe if you go to your audio settings, you might be set to a mic that is far away from you, like your laptop's onboard mic or something like that. So you just go in your audio settings and switch it over.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit.
A little bit better.
Oh, geez. Sorry.
That's
I'm
okay.
on my phone. It's the one day I don't do club deck. I decide to talk. Okay, I will speak loudly. Is this good?
Yes.
Okay, so a win for me is I won a job with a pharmaceutical company, a big pharmaceutical company. And what I did was, when they reached out to me and asked me what I would charge for this, I channeled my inner Maria Pendolino. And instead of quoting
we all need an inner.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I asked them what their budget was. And I had gone to GBAA and I knew what I wanted to quote, but they came back with more than I was going to ask them for.
There you go.
Second time that's happened, so big thanks to Maria for that advice.
And Jennifer, it's not a tactic per se, and people should not feel like they've played some kind of trick and they're like, I won the lottery kind of thing. It's just something you should do. What's the budget?
Right.
Because the other thing that can happen on the flip side of that is if the budget comes back and it's nowhere near, you want to be wise with your time and not get too far down the road of writing quotes and preparing auditions and doing all this if neither of you are on the same page, right? So that's good. It's good to hear you pulled out your inner Maria. How about a challenge? What's going on these days?
A challenge for me really is social media, coming up with content that I think will be interesting to, and I'm focusing on e-learning right now, and coming up with content that would be interesting to learning designers. And I've been trying to figure out what it is they need. What is it that they are struggling with when they're interacting with voiceover talent, and what is it they're looking for? And then developing content that would be interesting and helpful for them. And that kind of goes into my goal, which I just had an accountability group meeting today. And one of the goals I set out for myself this week is to meaningfully connect with 20 learning designers on LinkedIn. And that's not, reaching out and selling to them or, anything like that. It's just identifying them and engaging with them on LinkedIn in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
Great goal.
Because I think
that's a good one.
I think that's a good way to approach it, Jennifer, because I was reading something, I can't remember who posted it earlier this week, and we were talking about everybody. It's a busy time of year for everybody, and whether that's instructional designers or advertising executives or whoever, everybody's really busy with year end and the holidays and everything like that coming. And sometimes this person posted and they were like, 20 emails into the day, and now I've got to see a voice actor's newsletter, and this was said in quite a negative way, but the message gets across that we're all out there trying to market, for lack of a better word, to these decision makers, whether it's an instructional designer or a casting director or an agent or whatever. But sometimes they're busy, and it's not that they don't want to hear from us, but they kind of don't want to hear from us right now sometimes. And so I think you're on the right track of, you can connect with people and you can meaningfully connect with them on social media without them having to consume content that you create, right? So sometimes it's taking that more than a like or a celebrate on LinkedIn and adding a nice comment with their name in it. As long as it's sincere, as long as it's real, that's a better way, I think, to connect with people on social media than worrying about trying to create content that you hope they will find and you hope that they will consume. Rather, go to them and what they're showing as important in their life right now and, put your little 2 cents in.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
And if I may, about social media content, because it's something that I do a bit of.
Yes, you do it so well.
Do a little bit of it sometimes. And for me, what I find the most effective is just being yourself. Just be yourself. And we're just, the word authenticity gets thrown around a lot, but really just be real, be authentic and be real, and share your joys and share your failures and share your passion and share your dog and share your, love of crochet. And it doesn't necessarily have to be about voiceover. Look at Stefan Johnson as a perfect example of a person who has gone redonkulous, like insanely viral, and now is on television talking about fast food. He is a massively successful voice actor, but when he's on TikTok, he doesn't talk about being a voice actor. He talks about his favorite snacks.
That's pretty awesome,
right? What desserts should come back? Don't bring back the Twinkie. He doesn't talk about voice acting. He talks about okay, so now today I'm going to check out all the chicken sandwiches in town and give you a review of what is the best, breaded chicken sandwich. And it's the way he describes food is always very, very entertaining. It's this is it's just his voice, and then the descriptors that he uses are brilliant, but none of his content has to do with voice acting.
I talk about D&D.
There you go.
Right.
Among other things.
Some people talk about trying to find content, trying to come up with stuff to talk about. Just, talk about you or your day or what, find the thing that makes you tick and talk about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Emma.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Jennifer. And good luck with that. We hope that you'll pop into the thread that we will create on LinkedIn to follow up on some of these goals. We've gone past the hour mark, not by too much, but happy to take maybe one more if I see a hand go up, because I think all the hands I'm seeing we've already had up on the stage. And oh, there we go. We got two. Okay, we're going to bring both of them on stage. We can do this, but you got to be quick. We're going to do the format. Win, challenge, goal. Michelle gets to go first. Bring it.
Welcome, Michelle.
Is this thing on?
Oh, no.
Michelle, if it's not working, just bail from the room and come back.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
While
Michelle
Michelle's...
Oh,
Yay. Am I there?
Yay.
Am I
You're there. You're there.
Woo. Okay. I'm going to be really fast.
Yay.
My
Go.
one win is I just completed an 8th day on a 30-day social media posting challenge.
Wow.
Yes. Keep it up.
For my other challenge, it's to finish writing my LinkedIn bio. For whatever reason, I am fighting this, like digging into the ground, like clawing, and I just don't want to do it. And I am working on it.
Michelle, can I provide a mindset shift that helped me?
Please.
When it comes to writing things like bios and stuff like that, I feel like many of us have this thing, if I put it out there, and it feels so permanent. And what I want to share with you is you discover the edit button. And so you put something that makes sense right now, and then you come back to it. And if something needs to change, you can change it. And nobody's going to be the wiser, and you're going to be just fine. So
I think
embrace the edit button.
Was just that once you start making connections, if you don't hit that right button, anytime you update it, I believe it goes out to everybody.
Oh,
That's
no,
what
no,
I
no.
was fighting a bit.
You can turn that off.
Yeah, you can definitely turn that off. It's a function that's in the settings on LinkedIn that's like, don't notify everyone anytime you make a change. Oh yeah, dive into some of the LinkedIn tutorials. They'll most definitely guide you through how to do that for sure.
Okay,
so
thank you.
What's the goal?
My goal is to write more original copy for demo material. So there's 3. Boom.
Ooh,
Fun.
Cool.
Well done.
I love it. All right. And do you have a time-bound component to that goal, or is there like something that you're working towards with that writing content?
For the writing content, one thing, I'm working on 2 things, but probably the sooner one is working on a commercial demo reel, sort of like Chris was earlier. And I was up at 5 o'clock this morning because the ideas were just coming at me and I couldn't stay in bed. Yeah, so I'm a little tired right now. But full moon.
Just so you know, that was the eclipse working on you.
I know.
Yeah.
Full moon, I'm like this every full moon. It's really
Me too. Me too.
Love it.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah,
well, good luck with the writing, Michelle.
Going with a month.
Awesome.
With a month. Cool. Okay.
All right. Keep us up to date. We want to see about it on LinkedIn. And let's wrap up the contributions from the room with Danielle.
Hi, y'all.
Welcome,
Hi, Danielle.
Hey.
How are you? Okay, so I got really inspired to say something, but I've been going in on direct marketing for this last 2 months. I got into Paul Schmidt's masterclass for marketing, and it's been awesome.
Paul's so great.
And yeah, he's awesome. I love him. And I've gotten 3 bookings since I've done that in the 2 months. So I'm really happy with that. The challenge has been the rates. You know, it's just like you guys said, just sticking with the rates and not letting anybody lowball you. And, you know, it's been kind of getting me. I've been turning away a lot of work, and
that's okay.
I can't help but, you know, add up the numbers like, oh man, it's been over $10,000. And I was like, oh no, it's okay. Just stick with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm proud of myself for doing it because I've set the standard. And, you know, once you have steak, it's hard to go back to bologna. You know, you just like, I don't really want to play with those clients anymore.
Once you sell yourself as bologna, it's hard to convince someone you are steak.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
There's a different mindset here too. Just to mention, if you don't take a job that is lowballing you, then you have yourself open for the job that pays you what you want or more.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So think about what you're gaining by not doing that work as opposed to what you're missing.
Yeah, I love
absolutely.
That, Jodi.
Yeah, I do feel good about it at the end of the day, and I have more time to work on my business and do my personal stuff as well. So it's better balance has been since I've been doing that a lot more. And I think the goal has just been representation. I finally feel ready. I wanted to have a good partnership, and I want to be willing to, ready to contribute for my agents and vice versa. I didn't want to start too soon. So yeah, I'm been reaching out. I was glad what you said, Mike, about, this time is probably the time that they're busy. So I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. It's tough because and then it crawls into your head. You're like, why am I not hearing back? Why am I not? It's been so long. Should I follow up? And like general rule, just so everybody can hear this, like if you submit to an agency, rule number 1, follow their instructions and if it says, please don't follow up with us, don't. Some of them will say, feel free to follow up after 6 months. It's fine.
Yep.
But follow those instructions and, it'll happen. It just takes time.
And also research the agents that you want to be represented by. Like, a lot of us I know I did that at the beginning of my career. I kind of threw the noodle at the wall to see what would stick. And then it was like, I don't want to do that. So research the people that you actually want to be represented by. Look at their rosters, look at what they do, look at the genres that they work within and the clients that they work with, and then submit to them when the time's right.
Absolutely. And I'm glad, and that's one thing I am glad I did when I waited. When I first got into this, I was like, let me be patient. And I'm glad I would have immediately did that. Had I got my shiny new demo, like, okay, I'm just going to submit to anybody. And I'm like, no, be patient, and I researched people, and I had my little small list of people that I reached out to after I vetted them and everything. And, I'm really glad you said that, because that is so true.
You got to be strategic too about what you're going after, right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Well, I'm excited to find out who you end up partnering with.
Oh, I'll let y'all know.
Yes, please.
Cool. Thank you so much, Danielle, for hanging out with us tonight. Thanks for being there. Look forward to seeing updates on our LinkedIn post, which will be dropping tomorrow. This has been a lot of fun. And once again, I'm so happy we're doing this again. Emma, it's, And thanks, Jodi, for hanging out with us tonight.
Really appreciate for inviting me. It's been fun.
So great to have you here.
So great to be here.
And just to, we don't do a lot of selling from the stage. It's something that we're not really hype on here, but I got to plug Jodi and Jodi's podcast, Audio Branding, is dropping another episode, and Jodi's been at this diligently for 156 episodes now and more coming.
Thank you.
So that's a lot of work. We talked about that earlier. So definitely, if you get a chance to check out Jodi's podcast, it's well worth a listen. And Emma, let's talk about next week. And we can start doing this. It's so cool. We got some cool stuff coming.
Yeah, so I've been working on the 2022 schedule. And one of the things that works really well with Mike and I is that he's so ridiculously organized, and I'm so like, hi, everybody, what's your name? And which is funny because I'm an introvert. Like, I don't know how that happened. Right? So he organizes everything, and he ropes me back in where he's like, okay, calm down, child, come back and sit down and have your lollipop, where I'm getting really excited about things. But I'm really excited about next week's guest because we've decided to branch out from what we've been typically doing at the VO Round Table, and we're inviting in guest speakers for different types of events. And next week we are bringing in a Canadian casting director who is the main casting director for a studio called Boombox in Toronto, and they do a ton of casting, non-union and union, within Canada. And actually, Boombox casts a lot in the US as well. And so we have Calliope coming in, so you are going to have the opportunity to either ask her a question or read for her, and we would be providing the scripts. So I'm going to be creating kind of a script Dropbox that you can grab the scripts from, and so that she's also not kind of flying blind with what you guys are reading. She can actually follow along with what's being done. And so we're going to have her next week. And that is...
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's so exciting. She's really excited to be here, too. So it's going to be fun.
Oh, it's so cool that she agreed to come on. And these are the opportunities that I find so cool. Like we had at VO North when you do it in person, to be able to audition for a casting director and get feedback. Because so often, like, what are we doing? We're doing these auditions, recording all auditions and just sending them into the void. And we're like, was it good? Was it not good? I don't know. Oh, hey, I booked a job, or I didn't hear squat. And so feedback is, other than when you're working with a coach, it's very rare. And to be able to get it from the casting side of things, to get that current finger on the pulse kind of feedback is so valuable. So I'm excited. Thank you, Emma, for taking care of this. And
and Jennifer, I love what you just did with your little picture. That it was she literally had a crowd like really excited instead of it was so cool. I was like, what?
I love the reactions that they let you do in Clubhouse now. It's fun.
It's fun.
There are some that you can do with audio too if your mic is on. That's fun.
You mean like...
Well, yeah, but there's also a reaction. Like if you go to the reaction, they have a sound like, right?
Okay.
You see what just happened there?
I see.
Reaction.
I do. Oh.
What does this do?
What does this do?
Okay, we're gonna have to.
And now we've made a complete mess of ourselves. Sorry, folks. We are professionals here. I promise
like
you.
Sounds.
We definitely like sounds, and we like talking. So again, thank you to my lovely co-hosts this evening, Emma and Jodi. I appreciate the support and making this what it is. We look forward to having everyone back next week, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. This is the Voiceover Round Table here on Clubhouse. A big thank you to everyone who came up on stage, and everyone was just hanging out in the room and the chat lighting up. It's been great. You guys are awesome. We look forward to seeing and hearing you next week. Keep an eye on LinkedIn for that thread to follow up on your goals that you're setting. And ladies, final words?
Just thanks to everybody for being here. This was a really fun night. I really appreciate you guys sharing. It was very cool.
Ditto from here. Lots of fun. And I always love having a chat with you guys.
Oh, thanks, Jodi. And thank you, everyone, once again for being here. We will look forward to gathering once again next Tuesday for the Voiceover Roundtable. Good night. Be safe. Take care, everyone.
Bye, everyone.